All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to resume. May I please request your presence back in the hall? Requesting you all to kindly join us back in the hall. We're about to resume. Break time is officially over. Requesting you all to come join us as soon as possible. It's time for us to resume. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, requesting you all to come join us as soon as possible. It's almost time for us to resume the session. Crude to chemicals is the next technical session. We'll have a lot of experts sharing their insights. I'm sure you wouldn't want to miss it. So come join us as soon as possible and allow us to resume on time. Thank you.
लोग अक्सर कहते हैं कि ये है नया इंडिया, लेकिन ऐसी क्या खास बात है नए इंडिया में? शहर भले ही छोटे हों, ख्वाब बड़े ही बनता है नया इंडिया। अपने हाथों से अपनी कहानी खुद लिखने का दम रखता है नया इंडिया। नए इंडिया की सोच में सबको बराबर अधिकार है। मेहनत के बीच से सफलता की मुस्कान तक, हर सफर में एक नए मुकाम तक, नई ऊर्जा, नई उमंग से चलता है नया इंडिया। नई उम्मीदों के साथ तरक्की की राह पर आगे बढ़ रहा है। अपनी कोशिशों से आसमान की बुलंदियों को छू रहा है। इस नए इंडिया के कण कण में, इसकी हर धड़कन में बसता है नए इंडिया का नयारा।
उगती हुई हरियाली में सोने सी हर बाली में हर सुबह चाय की प्याली में और घर घर की खुशहाली में प्रदूषण मुक्त हो आसमान दुनिया भर में अपने निशान आत्मनिर्भर हिंदुस्तान गेल इंडिया जिसकी पहचान.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to resume, but not without your presence, requesting your presence in the hall as soon as possible. In the next couple of minutes, we will start our next technical session, which is crude to chemicals. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've just joined us, requesting you all to kindly place your phones on silent. Thank you. Welcome back after a break. And usually, after a break, the energy is definitely high. So, I'm going to quickly put that to a test. May I please request you all to put your hands together? Let's check the energy levels in the room. Not bad at all. And with that, we move on to our next technical session. Ladies and gentlemen, please get up for the sixth technical session of the 27 Energy Technology Mean. The topic of discussion, as mentioned earlier, is crude to chemicals. And I want you all to put your hands together and join me in giving a warm welcome to our chairpersons here on stage. Mr. S. Khanna, Director R, BPL, to join us on stage. Keep it coming as he walks onto the stage. Thank you. Welcome, sir. And inviting Mr. Gandham Ganesh, ex-ED, HPCL on stage. Welcome, sir. Session number 6, like I said, the topic is crude to chemicals, and we have an interesting lineup of speakers joining us. So without further ado, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the speakers for the session, starting with Mr. Siddharth Saha from Axons. Please put your hands together. Welcome, sir. Mr. Peter D. Kumza from Lummus. Join me in welcoming Mr. Subrata Guru and Ujjala Mukherjee from Chevron Lummus. Dr. Gurmeet Singh, Indian Oil, joining us on stage. Welcome, sir. And Mr. Pranab Kumar Rakshit, R&D, joining the eminent speakers on stage. Stage before they start sharing their expertise. Thank you so much. And now, handing it over to the chairpersons. Gentlemen, over to you.
Thank you very much and good morning to each one of you. I think this is one of the most sought after session for the day, and I welcome each one of you. As yesterday we saw in Minister's address and subsequent in the keynote address, we saw that there are many options for fossil fuel which are being talked about. Renewable, LNG, CNG, biogas, biofuel, name a thing, everything is a threat to fossil fuel. And one of the safe bet for hydrocarbon is petrochemical. And here we had gone a step ahead. Can we increase the petrochemical intensity? And there comes the solution, crude to chemical. And I'm very pleased to see we are having industry leader with us who will be sharing with us their vision, the progress which has happened in the recent time for crude to chemical. And we are also having our R&D expert who will be sharing some of the latest development on chemical. So coming to crude to chemical, we know that challenges were plenty, whether you call it cost efficiency or whether you call it environmental impact or technical complexity, and above all, the proven track record. For such mega investment, definitely we will be looking for, is there a track record out there? So these were the challenges. And here we have panelists with us. They will be telling us how each and every challenge is being addressed. So without much ado, I will ask my co-chairman whether to add further, and we'll start the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Khanna. Crude to chemicals is very dear to refiners, definitely, and most of the people refiners who are operating FCCs, especially they would have tried out in their pilot plants. They would have known what is coming. It's very relevant. So they all know where those blocks are there in terms of improving efficiency, improving how much of chemicals to increase, what are the various drawbacks if they get into different configurations, what is the best. I think that's what they're looking for in this session, and it's well organized. And I'm happy to see not only there are 3 crude to chemicals, and there are 2 are there what to do with the chemicals. So there are 2 papers further to that product development. So we'll start off right away. Due to time constraint, we'll once again keep each speaker about 12 minutes so that we can finish it in time. We'll have a little question and answer session also in the end. So right away, we'll start off with the first speaker, Siddhartha Saha from Accents, Crude to Chemical Complex, Innovative Pathways with Latest Commercial Feedback. Over to Siddhartha.
So, good morning, everyone, and thank you, sir, for that very, I would say, concise but to the point introduction to the subject. That is exactly what we are going to do. We are going to talk about Accent's work in this area of crude to chemicals. Before going into the subject, I would like to, of course, thank CHT on behalf of Accents for giving us this opportunity to be part of this very interesting discussion. Now, to start with my presentation, I'll touch upon three subjects so that I do not overshoot on this time of 12 minutes. First, we'll look at the how we look at when building up a crude to chemicals project with specific objectives and challenges, how we break it up into a conversion challenge and apply the right technology to bring about the results. We'll look at that. Then we'll look at some specific commercial experiences. And lastly, we'll touch upon the very important subject of how we are trying to make sure that these complexes that our customers are going to invest a huge amount of money in today remain relevant in a low carbon future. So in the first look, this is kind of, relatively simplistic way of how to break up an overall crude to chemical challenge. So if you look at, this is quite well known, all the gamut of chemical products that you are ultimately looking to feed into the market, if it has to be connected with crude as a feedstock, it has to pass through four basic building blocks, which are quite well known: ethylene, propylene, benzene, and paraxylene. So on one, olefins and aromatics, right? So now these building blocks, again, what is very well known and what is very well worked upon also are the dedicated blocks that you see in the middle, in these ones, which are the olefins production block around steam cracker or dehydrogenation, whatever it might be. And on the bottom end for the aromatics complex. So these are blocks that are quite well mature already, but also there is immense amount of work also going on all the time to make these blocks more efficient and more to the point in meeting the demands of the market. So when we are faced with a crude to chemicals challenge, what we try to do is we try to convert crude in the most efficient way possible, and using, as Mr. Khanna mentioned, using technologies that are proven and which would not pose a challenge for the investor in adopting them, to configure complexes to ultimately convert crude, the entire range of hydrocarbon that exists in crude, into the light end molecules, whether it's LPG, light naphtha for steam cracker complexes, or heavier naphtha that is required for aromatics complexes. The challenge that we look at it is how to convert crude most efficiently into these limited streams. So once that the challenge is defined that way, what we have to look at is the whole set of highly efficient and proven conversion technologies that Axens has at its disposal in order to ultimately combine them in order to look at the product slate that is being targeted, be it major olefins or major aromatics or a judicious combination of the both. But when you have on one hand, the possibility of residue hydroconversion, we have the very effective, very proven, and very robust H-oil platform. We'll look at it in a little bit more detail. And on the other hand, you have the HSFCC platform, the catalytic cracking, which can take anything from atmospheric residue to even whole crude as feed. So you have robust conversion platforms like this, along with supplemental technologies, the second layer of conversion that might be required with fixed bed hydrocracking. And in specific situations when you might need carbon rejection solutions, even driven by hydrogen economy, driven by specific residue handling challenges, then you also have carbon rejection pathways such as flexi coking or solvent deasphalting. So when you have a complete portfolio in hand, and as solution provider, when we are asked to cater to a specific feed slate, be it lighter end, in some projects we see quite light crudes being judged as the fitting feedstock, while in other projects it might be more heavier Middle Eastern crudes being traditional feedstock being targeted for conversion. So whatever be the feedstock, whatever be the targeted product slate, having this complete portfolio of proven technologies helps in ultimately configuring a complex that will fit those objectives in a proven and reliable way. Now, coming to the Indian context, what we see that out of all these processes, given the projects that we see right now, the shoots of the projects that are developing, crude to chemical ideas and projects that are developing in India, we feel that the need for residue hydrocracking combined with a second layer of conversion using fixed bed hydrocracking is something that needs to be looked at more closely. So we selected these two as the I would say pinpoint for this presentation. So if we look at where we stand on residue hydrocracking, H oil I suppose is well known, relatively well known among the audience in this room. So H oil is evaluated bed residue hydrocracking. It's a okay, I mean, these are just objectives, but it's very robust and very well proven technology that has been around for more than 60 years. But at the same time, there is immense amount of development that has happened in this process over the last 10 or 12 years, I would say, which is reflected in the numbers that you see here. For example, right now, the fact that it's a highly proven technology is well substantiated by the total number of references you see. That we have licensed more than 28 units with cumulative capacity of more than 82 million tons, which is quite substantial. And out of these, 16 units have been in operation, and most importantly, in the last decade, more than 5 units have been started up with quite substantial capacity. We shall look at some of them. And the journey continues with another 3 units expected to start in the next 2 years. Now, the interesting part is that majority of the awards that you see, this around 10 projects that you see in the last 10 years, majority have been part of complexes that are targeting higher conversion to chemicals from crude. And the other part that we will showcase in the commercial experience is the role that VGO and middle distillate hydrocracking can play in these kind of complexes, because residue hydroconversion forms the basic backbone, right? The heaviest end you convert to something lighter, but ultimately you need something more to convert those products from residue conversion as well as parts originating from crude into the feedstock for the aromatics and for the steam cracker complexes that we showed at the beginning, which is light and heavy naphtha and LPG. To generate all those from the streams, either coming from residue hydrocracker or from the crude, you need middle distillate and VGO hydrocracking. So if we look at how commercial complexes look with the combination of this is, I think most of you are familiar with. This is our first crude to chemical complex that came into operation in 2019. This is Hengli complex in China. Just to highlight the specific aspects of it that we are talked about so far, at the heart of the complex, this is a 20 million ton crude to chemicals complex. At the heart of it is 6 million ton residue hydroconversion that you see here, H oil units. Sorry. Yeah. Here. And then you have a whole, I would say wall of hydrocracking that ultimately takes up the next level of conversion challenge, ultimately delivering feed to the steam cracker as well as to the massive aromatics complex that is ultimately generating about 4.5 million tons of PX from 20 million tons of crude, plus additional 15% olefins, taking up the total chemicals yield from this complex to 45%. Now, if we just quickly look at the next one, which I think we have talked about less so far, this is another project in China which came to stream at the end of 2022 and now has completed close to 2 years of operation. If you see, what we are doing here is something very similar. Here we are showing only the heavy end of the complex. That is where the intervention, the crude to chemicals intervention came in. We are talking about only the atmospheric residue, not the whole crude. Okay, so if you take the atmospheric residue as the feed, we start with, of course, the residue conversion part. Okay, so that is there, and then we have this absolute Chinese wall of a hydrocracker in between, which is basically taking all the VGO and all the diesel that is produced from the residue hydrocracker, which, as you know, are not exactly, sweet and nice streams. These are extremely difficult streams. So this hydrocracker is taking all the diesel and VGO as well as part of the straight run stream and converting it all to sweet naphtha that is fit to be fed into both steam cracker and aromatics complexes. And overall, we are achieving a yield of 70% of feed for aromatics and olefins complex on atmospheric residue. So these are the I would say two major successes we have put in operation so far, and additional projects are in the pipeline. As you know, projects like this are massive, and it's not just a question of technology selection. There are n number of challenges to overcome. So the pipeline continues. Just to touch upon the last subject, like we mentioned, these complexes, when they are configured, have to be future ready. And we are, I mean, Accents is basically has considered two levels of interventions, to ensure that. One is that we are in parallel working on quite wide range of solutions to incorporate both biogenic as well as cyclical circular feedstock in these complexes. The way these complexes are configured, they are well compatible with future incorporation of such renewable feedstock. And the second layer of intervention is that these processes being, coming from the proven backbone, of proven technologies, these are also compatible with well conventional decarbonization measures that are talked about in the industry. For example, the if you think about scope 1 emissions from these complexes, Accents has in hand the possibility to completely electrify process heating in these complexes, which will basically drastically cut down potentially. If renewable power is available, it is feasible for Accents to 100% electrify the conversion blocks of these complexes. So just to conclude, overall, what we showed, the train of thought is like this. Effective and versatile conversion lies as the heart of configuring crude to chemical complexes. And deploying, proven technologies pushing the boundaries of their performances without compromising the basic skeleton, the basic foundation of reliability and robustness that has been become the part of these technologies through their development process of, in some cases, more than 50 or 60 years, is the challenge we are taking up and managing to deploy successfully. And when you ultimately succeed in meeting the project objectives using judicious deployment of these solutions, what you have at the end is, among many points, the one I would like to highlight is that ultimately you are able to put projects on stream in an extremely accelerated way. If you look at the timeline of the second project I showed you, it was licensed. Accents was awarded for basic engineering for that project in 2019, and by end of 2022 that project went on stream. So if this kind of, and basically looking at the uncertainties that exist in the market today, I think by definition projects will have to, compress in terms of gestation period, and using proven technologies to build up these projects really helps in that regard. So that's the, I would say, pitch I wanted to present to you. You are most welcome to continue the discussion further with us in the exhibition area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Siddharth. I think that's you have given a very good indication of the configurations for crude to chemicals. I think some of the existing refineries who have these facilities, they can think of how to tweak around and get to those 45% level, 50% level. I think that gives. We'll go to the next speaker. That is thermal crude to sea, crude to chemicals, a low emission and low capex route from crude to chemicals. Peter D. Kumza from Lumas.
Okay, I'd like to thank the organizers and the session chairs for the opportunity to talk to you. And I'd like to thank the audience for your interest in thermal crude to chemicals, TC2C, a low emissions and low carbon route from crude to chemicals. If we want to secure a safe, healthy, and environment for the future, we're going to need innovative routes to continue to produce petrochemicals. As we see from the GDP growth that's going to go on and the growth of the middle class, our demand for